Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so glad that you all were able to join us. It's unfortunate that we have to come together with old friends and new friends on such a solemn occasion, but I am so grateful that you all were able to make it here today. I'm Arlene Randall, I'm the principal of Cooper Middle School, and I'm not going to be talking right now. I'm going to pass the mic over to Mr. Barker, who has for many, many years been our Master of Ceremonies, and it was just fitting for this occasion to have him continue with it. So, Mr. Barker.
Good afternoon, everyone. Whoa. First of all, I strongly suggest that you put your cell phones on silent so we won't have any interruptions during the proceedings. As Arlene said, I used to teach at Cooper Middle School from 1975 until 2006. For those of you who don't do math, that's 31 years. For those of you still teaching here, dare to dream. Your time will come. I just want you all to know that I am not here to mourn Myrna Foster's passing. I am here to rejoice in the fact that I knew her. I hope you will join me in a celebration of her life. I want to introduce some very special guests. First of all, Dr. Henry Foster, Myrna's father. Wendell Foster. Applause is all right. Remember, this is a celebration. Next to him, Wendell Foster, Myrna's brother. A close family friend, Dr. Flavia Waldron. And because we are all products of the teachers that we had, Ann Chief, Myrna's middle school social studies teacher. We will have musical interludes today by Jameson Steffens, who Myrna saw grow up because he's the son of our former band director here at Cooper. Our first speaker after me is Nadine Wright.
Dr. Foster and Wendell, as you can see, the outpouring of support here today is a testament to how much we loved Myrna. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Nadine Wright, the art teacher here at Cooper Middle School. Myrna, Minerna, Foster, Miss Foster, and Sassy Science were some of the names she was called. Myrna was one of my best friends and like a sister to me in a way, and many who spent time with us expressed that. I feel Myrna would want to bless everyone who is here today and who is in her life, translated through her Jewish sister. From the Bible, Numbers 6, verses 24 through 26. V'reshecha Adonai v'forecha. May the Lord bless you and keep you. V'reshecha Adonai punach anecha avbinu. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Asher Adonai punach anach ashenu l'cham shalom. May the Lord lift up his countenance unto you and give you all peace. Myrna was a great listener and always apologetic to everyone. Myrna was so cute, with a beautiful smile, and so darn funny, she could make you laugh at almost anything. Myrna was sweet, sarcastic, and sassy. Even her students picked up on that. Myrna was kind, loving, and very caring for her friends, and especially her family, always worried about her niece and nephew, Claire and Kevin, and most recently, her mother. She loved her times with her dad when he came to visit, and adored Wendell and Ann as well. Myrna was a teacher with passion that ignited enthusiasm, which instilled greatness in each and every one of her students that she taught. Myrna was humble, sometimes self-deprecating, never giving herself enough credit, but always complimenting others. Myrna was a blessing to us all with her laughter, zest for life, and how she looked at things. Myrna was a classy lady who had a lot of dignity and charm with her southern poise and love for cuisine, or bad food, as she used to tell me. Her deviled eggs and lemon squares were the absolute best, always being requested at any work party or social event. Myrna was very smart, knowledgeable, and quite resourceful, always had the answer or knew where to find it. Myrna was very good with advice, dating advice. I know, hard to believe. She used to say to me all the time, I don't know why you do that. You shouldn't put up with that. Don't waste your time with that nonsense. You deserve better. And boy, was she right each and every time. Myrna was loved, as a coworker said to me the other day. I know I am not speaking just for myself when I say to know Myrna is really to love her. And as friends and coworkers, we are all blessed to have had her in our lives. Myrna was a travel partner and a buddy who was always up for any adventure I had in mind. She came with me on 6 student trips that I led. She was always willing to help out and try to make things easier for me. From running through Times Square to get the most amazing popcorn ever for ourselves and our students, to braving the cold at Stonehenge, to the amazement of the Great Wall of China, to climbing Machu Picchu, she was the most loyal, dedicated, devoted, funny traveler and best friend anyone could ask for. Myrna was not an outside kind of gal. I used to remind her that she was a science teacher, but then she'd correct me and say, oh no, but I'm a chemist. She used to tell me she went outside for 2 reasons. 1, to get into her car to go home, and then once to get out of her car to go inside. So after Costa Rica, when we did horseback riding, zip lining, and canopy tour, she told me, I'm done. I don't ever need to go outside ever again. Myrna was like a sister from another mother, but a sister whom I chose, because she was always a calming force in with my sense of reason. What am I going to do now? We were very different, but also rather similar in our lives, where neither one of us had children or had married, constantly sharing stories about our family or talking about work or health concerns. We often stayed late at school at night, and we would talk about going to dinner, only if she didn't have a show that she had to watch. Being like a sister, I renovated my kitchen, and then she renovated hers. So we both had 14-year-old cars a few years back. She got on my case one day after I came to school and told her that my car caught on fire. After months of nagging, I finally gave in and got a new car. So then it was her turn. She used to tell me that she used to get grease and oil changes. It cost way too much money. So I remember one of the last times she came up to me and I said, so how much did it cost you? She's like, I'm not even gonna tell you because you're gonna get really mad. So she told me, and I did, because it was way too much money. And then I started nagging her. Needless to say, she realized I was not letting up. She ended up buying a new car shortly after that. I remember last spring when I came into work, telling her that my apartment was so warm that I could not sleep. She said, oh no, Nadine, stop being so cheap and get yourself air conditioning. I've had mine on since the middle of the winter. I said, what? Why? I said, it's cold outside. She said, yeah, but it's not in my apartment, so I need air conditioning. I'm like, okay. So I did, and so now I have air conditioning. In January, Myrna came with me to the MLK, Martin Luther King Memorial Shabbat service at 6 and I Historic Synagogue that was later an AME church and now a synagogue again in Washington. She wanted to come with me to the services. I think because I told her that I had gone for the last few years, it was a lot of fun. There was rhythm, there was song. So afterwards, I asked her, what did she think? And she said, it was great. I said, I bet you can tell all the Jewish guys on stage because they're the ones that have no rhythm. I can say that. And she looked at me and she smiled and she goes, you're right. I said, yeah, I know. And then she says, I'm going to tell my parents that I went to church this weekend. I said, wait, no you didn't. She goes, yes, this counts. I said, okay. So it wasn't really church she went to, just saying. So on our last trip in March to Peru, I named her Sassy Science. And being like a sister, she said, I'm going to come up with an A word for you, being that I'm the art teacher. She told me, don't worry, I'll figure it out. So a couple weeks after the trip, she gave me a book signed by everyone on the trip. The last pages were her thanking me for the trip, but ending in, from sassy science to audacious artsy, long may she lead travelers on amazing journeys. So here's back at you, sister. So from audacious artsy to sassy science, long may she remind us how to love, laugh, and enjoy every moment. Hugs and kisses to you, Myrna. I will miss you so much. I love you now and forever.
I'm relatively new at Cooper as a teacher, but I find that I was very lucky because I landed myself a classroom right next to Myrna. And the first year, I kept going to her door and going, what is it they, as in admin, what is it they want us to do? I don't get it, Myrna. And she kept going, it's nothing, just do this and that. Thank you, Myrna. And then finding myself a little bit at a loss for words, I found an old, very familiar book. And so today I invite you to join me into the companionship of Mary Oliver's poem, In Blackwater Woods. Look! The trees are turning their own bodies into pillars of light, are giving off the rich fragrance of cinnamon and fulfillment. The long tapers of cattails are bursting and floating away over the blue shoulders of the ponds. And every pond, no matter what its name is nameless now. Every year, everything I have ever learned in my lifetime leads back to this. The fires and the black river of loss, whose other side is salvation, whose meaning none of us will ever know. To live in this world, you must be able to do three things. To love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing your own life depends on it, and when the time comes, to let it go, to let it go. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Denise Grant, and for 19 of the 26 years that Myrna spent here teaching at Cooper, we taught science together. Our department was notorious, in a good way, and we became not just co-workers, but friends. My fondest memories include staying after school together way later than anyone else, with the possible exception of Susie. We would put off grading by doing anything from analyzing our favorite TV shows, washing lab equipment, to learning the electric slide in the copy room with Gary. Of course, then we'd have to sit out rush hour by going out to dinner. Myrna was always such a good sport, and her participation in the talent shows here, right on this stage, whether dressed as a California raisin in trash bag and sunglasses, or color-coordinated poodle skirts from the 50s. She even convinced me to join in a few times. My brother lived in Nashville, and sometimes we got together down there. She was family after a while. And sharing memories of a variety of road trips as well as themed book group weekends made coming to work all the more fun. Speaking of book group, we made reading the book optional for Myrna. Sometimes they had a movie. And anyway, it was all about hanging out, and that's what really counted. She was close to her family and was so happy when Claire and Kevin came along, and she became an honorary aunt to several of her colleagues' kids as she watched them grow up, including my own. She helped with birthday parties and accompanied us on local outings to the zoo and museums. So I requested that Myrna be Jamie's 8th grade science teacher. And yes, we made a mousetrap car. Who could forget race day, complete with decorations, judges, and Myrna on the floor with her toolbox and wearing her mouse ears. She has taught or actually, should I say, influenced the lives of some 3,500 students. When I left Cooper to go to the detention center, wait a minute, let me rephrase that. When I went to teach in the jail, we continued to get together. And moving to California put some miles between us, but she was the kind of friend that no matter how long or how far, we could just pick up right where we left off. There's a verse in the book of Isaiah that says, "On this mountain, the Lord Almighty will prepare a feast, the best of meats and the finest of wines. He will swallow up death and forever wipe away the tears from all faces." And that's one dinner reservation with Myrna that I don't want to miss.
My name is Susan Underhill, and I taught here for 18 years. I'm going to do this. Your strength, because I was the crier and you never did. Myrna was a very good friend, although I can't recall the specifics of how our friendship began. My guess is that we bonded over the fact that we were both intelligent, highly attractive single women. It was some 19 years ago here at Cooper Middle School. She was a confidant, a calm presence to counter my worrying persona, and as you know, simply a great person to just hang out and have fun with. We shared a love of NFL football. She was devoted to her home team, Go Titans, and I to my Redskins. And we shared a deep appreciation for two great inventions. The 20th century's gift of the TV, and the 21st century's successor to the VCR, the DVR. But perhaps what bonded us most was our love of food. Myrna was my dinner buddy. I don't know how many meals we had together, but it was a lot. We were proud supporters of many local restaurants with a special fondness for IHOP. We even found reasons to dine out together, like celebrating the arrival and departure of a snowstorm. Can you get out of your neighborhood yet? Sweet, let's go. Let's go out to eat. We'd celebrate the first day of school, the last day of school. I need a break from grading. Let's go out. It's Friday, it's Saturday, it's Monday. Let's go eat. Perhaps I remember the last time I saw Myrna was when we went to the IHOP in Burke. She was coming back from getting her hair done and doing me a huge favor by meeting me and Burke. Excuse me. Over time, eating out with Myrna evolved into what I have referred to as going out with the gang, which was Myrna, Carrie, Carol, and me, and before she moved in East Graham. Myrna and I could talk in person, or on the phone for a very long time. I love to hear her stories and tell her mine. She listened without judging, offering support and advice if asked. We laughed, carpooled, shuttled each other to the airport, went to weddings and Broadway shows, got pedicures, and we even exercised together. No kidding, I have witnesses. On numerous occasions, I kid you not, we showed up at IHOP in exercise gear. And of course, we had our comical moments. Like the time we went to the Cooper holiday party, went into a house, walked around a bit before we decided we were in the wrong place, and got out as fast as we could, we leave before anybody noticed us. Then there was the time we went to dinner. Except she went to Red Robin in Fair Lakes and I went to Outback Steakhouse on Route 50. Both of us sitting there by ourselves waiting for the other person to arrive. Thank goodness for the cell phone. Or there was the time we carpooled during the sniper scare in the fall of 2002. She drove us to school one day and parked the car, and like she always did, calmly proceeded to get her coffee mug and then her bags from the back seat. I, on the other hand, jumped out as soon as the car was parked and made a beeline for the front door in what I called the sniper strut, leaving her in the dust. And that may have happened more than once. Luckily for me, we remained friends. When I left Cooper 3 years ago, Myrna became part of my lifeline to a place I called home for 18 years. She has a starring role in my memories of teaching here and in my personal life. Memories that include so many of you here today. Like you, I will really, really miss her. I already do. I am so grateful she and I were friends. I thank Cooper for honoring her today and for letting me share with you. The theme song for the Golden Girls sitcom says, "Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true, you're a pal and a confidant." That is a fitting tribute to our friendship. I will simply add, Myrna, thank you for being my friend.
Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Hi, my name is Hilda Hamilton. This is my first year at Cooper. Don't worry, you're not the only crier. And Myrna was my curriculum team leader. My mentor and my friend. The faculty was first asked if we would like to speak at Myrna's memorial and thought, what would I have to offer? Many of you have known Myrna for 5, 10, 26, 54 years. After talking with Judy, I realized you probably need to know what a profound impact Myrna had, even on people like me and Mina, who only knew her for about 9 months. These are things I knew about Myrna. Myrna was always smiling. If she was smiling big, you'd see a twinkle in her eye, kind of like up there. It didn't matter how stressful the day was, Myrna had time to give you a smile. She smiled in the morning, all the way until the end of the day. She smiled in her classroom, in the hallway, and all the way to her car in the evening. I swear I never saw my friend not smiling. Myrna was a helper. It didn't matter if it was helping students understand a concept, or helping Mina and I set up a lab, or leaving her classroom to help someone put staples in the copier or fill up the paper drawer, or opening her classroom after school so some kids could build their Goldberg machine with materials they wouldn't have had at home, or staying after school to help with the creation of the school's new garden area. Myrna was a listener. She would stop everything she was doing to listen to your questions or your troubles. If she was in the middle of something she couldn't look up from, she'd ask you to hold on until she could give you her undivided attention. You know how people ask how you're doing? And it's kind of rhetorical because they don't really expect an answer, or if you give them one, they're probably really not answering or listening. That wasn't Myrna. She really wanted to know how you were doing. She usually got really specific with her questions, like how was your weekend trip? Or how's your family doing? Or were you able to get your car worked on? Myrna loved. She didn't just like, she loved. She loved God and the golden rule. She loved getting her hair done. There was one thing Myrna would leave the school in time to do, it was to go get her hair appointment. She loved her family. Just ask her about the pictures on her desk, and she would tell you all about her niece and nephew in a voice a mother reserves for speaking about her children. Ask her where she's from. She would tell you about her parents in Nashville and her brother in California. Myrna loved the idea of exercise. But rarely left here in time to get to any classes at the gym. She loved teaching science. She would stay here with Nina and me until 5, 6, 7 o'clock, changing lessons so they'd be more interesting or understandable for the kids than they were last year. Did you see her Halloween lesson? Every 8th grader at Cooper has fond memories of that. Myrna knew how to work an 8th grade crowd. Myrna loved to say, it's going to get ugly. And frankly, there's been days it's been really ugly since Myrna left. Myrna was a traveler. She traveled all over the world with her friends. She was so excited about her trip to Peru this past spring break with Nadine. Her biggest concern was if she could keep up with everyone getting to the top of Machu Picchu, especially since she'd missed a few of those exercise classes. Myrna was family. We all talk about Cooper family, but Myrna was more than that. She was who you wanted to invite to your party because you knew she'd be the life of it. She was the one you invited to your bridal and baby showers. You included her in your infant's christening, your children's recitals, your teen's graduation, and your own daughter or son's wedding. She always had a seat at your table. There's a poem from Myrna's classroom bulletin board that I wanted to share with you. It's called Excellence versus Perfection. Excellence is being willing to be wrong. Perfection is being right. Excellence is taking a risk. Perfection is fear. Excellence is powerful. Perfection is anger and frustration. Excellence is spontaneous. Perfection is control. Excellence is accepting. Perfection is judgment. Excellence is giving. Perfection is taking. Excellence is confidence. Perfection is doubt. Excellence is natural. Perfection is pressure. Excellence is the journey. Perfection is the destination. Myrna was excellence. Like you, I've missed Myrna every day. The loss of Myrna has taught us that we're not promised tomorrow. But if we were paying attention, we would have realized Myrna was already teaching us that every day.
Myrna. I've been here for almost 20 years, and I saw her almost every single day running into the building. I said, Myrna, you know what time it is? I know, Arlene, I know, Eileen. Just write me up. She brought so much light into our lives. I mean, her untimely passing has left a very real void in our lives, which can never be entirely filled. Our only consolation is the knowledge that we were privileged to know and work with her. During her 26 years at Cooper, we came to know Myrna of a person of integrity and intelligence. You could always count on her for a helping hand no matter what you asked her. Now, most of you know who worked here, she's in charge of the copying room. And she wanted everything to be there when the teachers got there. And you know Myrna, she gets very excited. She'd run into my office. Ollie, there's no paper. Well, what do you want me to do, Myrna? Get the paper, get the paper. So she wanted to make sure her teachers had everything they needed in that copying room. And she did such a wonderful job. She made sure everybody had what they needed at all times. Most of the times, she was there to help before you even asked her. Her infectious smile and caring ways made everyone feel comfortable and welcome. The laugh in the hallways just echoed through the building. It was so warm and welcoming. Everybody felt so comfortable being around Myrna. And her smile, that's been mentioned so many times, it just brightened up the hallways and our office and our lives. We also take comfort in the fact that part of her will continue to live, reflected in the lives of her students she has taught. As teacher, she gave of herself. She spent countless hours helping students make sure they learned and understood the concepts being taught and giving them the confidence that they can do whatever they put their minds to. She was a teacher who loved to teach and make sure her students learned. Now, a lot of people have talked about how late Myrna stayed here. Well, she stayed here late. She usually was the last one to leave the building. We had to throw her out lots of times. Her car was always there. I said, Myrna, go home. No, Arlene, I have a few more papers to grade, a few more papers. I said they could wait till tomorrow. It's sort of like laundry. Never gets done. It's always there. But only, as already mentioned, took my line away, but there's one time that she ran out of that building was to get her hair done. I gotta go, I'm gonna be late. Running out of the building. And you could see the smile and the smoke coming up. The students that had the privilege to be under her tutelage will carry her ideals, her knowledge, and her moral principles into the world. And the world cannot help but be a better place because Myrna was here. Myrna might be gone from our sights, but never from our hearts. We love her. We have had countless days with her. Each one was precious, and we thank God that she was part of our lives.
Keep your head I'll be there, yeah, yeah, yeah. Ain't it good to know that you've got a friend? People can be so cold. They'll hurt you, desert you. They'll take your soul if you let them. Oh yeah, don't you let them. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. In spring or summer or fall, all you got to do is call. Lord, I'll be there, yeah, yeah, yeah. You got a friend. You got a friend.
Hello, my name is Denise Michelot. Myrna was a dear friend, colleague, and travel buddy. I was a health and PE teacher here at Cooper from 1979 to my retirement in 2011, and I'm still here. I am a serial Ellen DeGeneres fan. I watch her show because she dances, she's funny, she's witty, makes me laugh, and is overall entertaining. Ellen also recognizes and celebrates teachers for their acts of kindness. Boy, did she miss out on a good one, Myrna Foster. I don't know of a kinder person than Myrna. She would do anything for anybody. Her dedication to the teaching profession is unmatched. Students fortunate to have had Miss Foster know that they have had the best and will reap the benefits for years to come. She was so much more than their science teacher, though. She cared not only about them learning the material, but she also cared about them personally and got to know them outside the classroom. Myrna would almost daily keep kids at lunch or after school for extra help. She was determined that they would know their material. The kids got her. Her little phrases, shut the front door, hilarious, you crack me up, dude, where's your book? Kept the learning environment light and fun. She laughed with them and at herself, and she did have the best snort laugh. But the kids also knew the look and when to buckle down. Kids loved for Miss Foster to chaperone because she was so much fun. I don't believe there was a band, chorus, or orchestra trip over the years that she's ever missed. Those trips included amusement parks, and there was also not a roller coaster she didn't love. Art shows, drama presentations, musicals, she supported and attended all the extras here at Cooper. The kids look forward to seeing her there. She reminded and encouraged students to go see their peers perform, and after each performance was quick to acknowledge the students and teachers involved in the productions. Myrna put the spirit in field day. She was quite competitive. If her team wasn't going to win the overall trophy, then they sure as heck were going to win that spirit award, chanting all the way until that spirit stick was in her hands. Myrna was always eager to participate in the talent shows. She was a California raisin, dancing to I Heard It Through the Grapevine, a 50s sock hop girl dancing and singing to Do You Love Me, a go-go dancer dancing to Splish Splash, I Was Taking a Bath, and an NSYNC performer performing to Bye Bye Bye. Again, just so much fun, and the students loved that side of Miss Foster. She was loving, gentle, and an overall pleasure to be around. Myrna was truly one of a kind. Ellen always closes by saying, be kind to one another. So in the spirit of Miss Foster, let's try to carry on her legacy of kindness.
fond but not forgotten. Although we are apart, your spirit lives within me, forever in my heart. My name is Judy Reed. I'm here with my husband, Marty, my daughter, Kim. I knew Myrna for 26 years. We met as brand new science teachers at Cooper Middle School, right here. For someone who had no family of her own, and by that I mean no husband and children, Myrna had more family than anyone I knew. As we were compiling a list of people to contact, it was truly remarkable how many lives she touched. The list went on and on. Literally hundreds of colleagues, and these were not just acquaintances, but rather people who truly cared about her, and who she in turn cared about sincerely. Not to mention the thousands of students who were lucky enough to have crossed her path. I mean, I don't even think she realized the scope of her influence until I don't think I realized the scope of her influence until it was in black and white. A friend of mine described Myrna as a gentle soul. Myrna was wonderful, kind, thoughtful, a devoted friend to all who knew her. I wish I was half as kind as she was. She honestly did not know how to say no. In fact, I would get annoyed with her because I thought she took on too much. But that's just how she was. She thought nothing of dropping everything to help someone at any time. Thus all the friends. As a teacher, she was dedicated. Her work ethic was unparalleled, and she loved what she taught. Her students adored her. She exuded an enthusiasm for science that was contagious, and students intuitively knew how much she cared for them. Students remembered her and often would return years later to see her. She was memorable for both her science knowledge and her humor. Being Miss Foster's science class was fun. Myrna never missed a school function. Every play, band trip, assembly. If she had students participating, she was there. And of course, that meant so much to them. Working with her was a pleasure. And I was fortunate enough to have worked with her for 15 of the years I knew her. We started at Fairfax County together and had classrooms next door to each other with an adjoining stockroom. You can't imagine how many times we would meet in that stockroom and just laugh, more often than not in the middle of class. Myrna could anticipate what I needed and vice versa. We were so in sync on most things: discipline, instruction, humor, and also TV. Everyone knows Myrna loved TV, but she also loved movies, music, going to the theater. We also took many road trips near and far. She was a wonderful travel companion, up for anything, and so easy to be with. Everyone knew how close she was to her parents, Wendell and Ann, and of course Kevin and Claire. She talked about her family often, was a devoted daughter, sister, aunt. Myrna really was a part of our family. In fact, when I told my own sister about Myrna's passing, she said, "It's like your sister died." And it is. Myrna was at all our family events and celebrations, birthdays, or bat mitzvahs, graduations, holidays. Myrna never forgot a birthday. Like clockwork, every year she sent holiday cards to my parents and my sister. She was a constant in all our lives. Both Kim and our son Jeff grew up with Myrna. She's known them since they were 5 and 9. We didn't have any family locally except for Myrna. Myrna has been my sounding board, my confidant, my shoulder to cry on, my fellow traveler, my colleague, my companion, my therapist, my fellow jokester, and my best friend. She was truly a gift to me. She leaves a huge void that would be difficult to fill, but I know I am better for having known and loved her.
Thank you. All of those presenting testimonies, tributes before me, thank you for the warm statements. I thank the Cooper Middle School family, its students, its staff, its teachers, for the love, the warmth, the caring you've extended to my wife and me during these really trying times. It won't make things go away, but it makes it just a bit easier to bear, and for it, I thank you very much. Now, what this school cares about has been reciprocated by Myrna, and that's evident from the statements that have been made. As I drove in to see your marquee, recognizing a precious loss, and all who were assembled are a testament to what they think and thought about this wonderful young woman. This extended family, Judy, was indispensable to really her surviving and being up here, and I want you to know, as Mr. Barker said, for me, this is a celebration. For some, unfortunately, it's not until after they've lost someone before they realize the great value and specialness of that person. Not so. I knew this from the day that she took her first breath. In this vein, most of what you have heard, which is wonderful, was about Myrna as an adult here. So I have two things to say. One, a suggestion. I understand that a book is being compiled of tributes that have been paid to Myrna. There's one especially that I hope you would get a chance to read. It's from her USN, University School classmate and Spelman College classmate, Dr. Sharon Jones. It is moving, talks about her life as a young person, and I'm going to share with you some snippets from her coming up. The best place to start is at the beginning. I can remember that day on May 24th in Boston, actually Malden, the suburb of Boston. When she was born, we went to the hospital to get her. And many times I deal with sensitive subjects with a bit of humor. We went in the hospital with about 30 beautiful babies' faces, all pink except one. And I called the nurses together who knew me. I'd been doing my surgical residency there for a year. And I said, you're going to see something rare in America today. I said, I can guarantee you, I will not get the wrong baby. Not a chance. And I wouldn't have wanted another baby other than a baby girl. She was a spunky child. She was feisty, intelligent, full of energy, and she was curious. I remember her, she'd try to take things apart and see if she could put it back together. I said, you would have made a good mechanic, Marilyn, if you had followed that. But she was good. We didn't go to Nashville until 1973, so we spent a good bit of time in Tuskegee. Myrna was pretty confident. We left Tuskegee. She had no separation anxiety. She had made good friends. And when she got to Nashville, she made friends very well, easily. Now, the most important thing about my having to make these comments today really relates to the presence of one of my dear, dear, dear friends, so respected, Ann Teef. Ann Teef, you've come here from somewhere. You taught Myrna and Wendell, I believe, social sciences. And Miss Teef was at the university school where Wendell and Myrna were in attendance. And sometimes after she left and went to head of a Harvard Hall Girls School as head of that. And she appropriately was interested in women's issues. Now, we maintained contact. I would contact Ann on occasions, but I don't know if you should remember the letter I wrote you when Myrna accepted the job here at Cooper as a science teacher. And I told you, I shared with you what I told Myrna about women in science. I said, now Myrna, it's a myth that women can't do science. It's a deception by those in power who want to maintain an unlevel playing field to their advantage. And then I shared with her some readings I had from Michener's, it's about the Yucatan Peninsula and the Maya population, the Maya people. That was a strongly patriarchal society, but some of the women there were astronomers and mathematicians. I told her, I'm not telling Myrna this. I said, if you find some of your female students who have a propensity for science, encourage them. I said, because it's baloney, it's bull. Women can't do it. And she's done that. And I thank you for that. The last time I communicated with you, Ms. Teef, you had written an op-ed piece in the Tennessean about STEM education for those not in education, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, about women. And I wrote you a note and told you what I thought, because I've always, it's pragmatic. When a country does not maximize its brain power, it weakens itself. It weakens itself. We need equal opportunity for them and for us. It's self-serving. And I know how terribly important this is. I did a one-year sabbatical at the Association of Academic Health Centers in Washington, sponsored by the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. And my thesis and study was about the rapid rise of women in medicine and what it portended for healthcare reform. Very quickly, it was rapid. In one generation, the number of women who entered the first year of medical school had risen from 7% in 1964 to 49% in 1994. And of course, it's probably over that now. So that's the most important thing. Myrna was a good financial manager. And I'd like to think it started on a trip we had one. I don't know if you recall the details. You little guys, you must have been about 7, 6. Myrna's about 7 or 8. We stopped at a store, the family took a trip. And Myrna wanted to buy something. She asked her mother, and Mama said, well, you started getting an allowance now. You take your allowance. And so we got in the car and we were driving, and somebody said, Myrna, let me see what you bought. Myrna said, well, I didn't buy anything. He said, why? She said, well, it was taking too much of my allowance. So that was a good lesson for her. I think that's her. She's a great daughter. She doted over me, and that's what I'm like. Of course, my granddaughter is doting over me now, and so I'm glad of that. But she'd spend, some of you ladies know this, cohort, she would spend 20 minutes trying to pick out the right greeting card for someone. She went to great details. But she was full of surprises. I'll share a couple of Father's Days. I would sometimes come up here to see her. She invited me once. She said, I got a surprise for you, Dad. So what? Stay in the car. She pulled out a disc and she took us up to Gettysburg. That's our great love of history. And she played the disc. We went to the Cemetery Ridge and all this in the whole day, which was a great gift for a Father's Day. On one other occasion, I came up here for Father's Day. She said, we're going to stay out here at the airport. It was a Dulles. I said, what's out here? She said, the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum has a Dulles branch out here that's 3 times larger than the one in the city. And of course, Wendell and Myrna grew up with me. I flew my own airplane living in rural Georgia, rural Alabama. I flew to Georgia, Florida. I was doing research on sickle cell anemia, doing amniocentesis to make this diagnosis. So she said, you like airplanes? And I got a chance to see the Enola Gay and so many other historic things there. You heard about her travels. I won't go there to save time, but I will say she traveled as a child. She went to Europe with her brother and people for 6 weeks. Sharon said, I remember that moment, my son is nodding in the affirmative. There were 6 weeks, but they went all over Europe. And of course, as a family, we went to Bermuda, Puerto Rico, and different places, Hawaii. So she liked to travel. On one of my trips, I had a speaking engagement in Johannesburg, and Myrna was out of school. So I took her to South Africa with me. And while there, she got a chance to meet the Minister of Education, which was good for her. Of course, we also got a chance to, while we were there, to go to Malawi and Kenya. She loved to travel, and you heard about her Costa Rica trips. I'm going to wrap this up, but before closing, I saw the beautiful outside garden pathway you put the big turtle. Now let me tell you how Myrna got started with the turtle, and then I'll sit down. I have the privilege of staying a bit longer since I'm the dad. When Myrna was 3 years old, I had my first medical meeting at American College of OBGYN in San Francisco. We were out on the water, and someone had these little boxes, like what you put fried rice in a place, with turtles in them, with an address on the top. They put a piece of lettuce in there, and you could mail it. So I mailed Myrna a turtle, and she named the turtle Myrtle. And from that point on, every time I went out into a foreign country, I would bring a turtle trinket. Now, I would try to get the name from that country. And I remember two of them. Kenya was Ichi, and from Vietnam, it was Doi Moi. She would get the name of the turtle. I said, this is what it is in that language. I give my great, deepest respect to all of you for the interaction. We are all fortunate to have had Myrna in our lives. It's painful, but it's God's will, and I'm going to be grateful for the number of years that we had with this special, special child. Thank you.
Well, this is perfect. When it's my turn to speak, everybody's taking my answer. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and thank you for the kind words we've heard all day. It shouldn't surprise you to learn that I'm sort of surprised by the outpouring of love and emotion for my sister, because it's really not the kind of thing that she would ever speak of herself. I knew she'd been teaching here for a long time. I just didn't know that she was so great at it. I had no idea. I learned about this thing called ratemyteacher.com. I think most of you have heard of this thing. Back in my day, we would just write on the bathroom walls. That's how we would do it back then. But it's fascinating to me because some of these things here it's interesting. Someone wrote this about my sister back in 2006. Seriously, don't chew gum in her class, ever. Make sure you memorize this stuff. It's not really important to pay attention in class, but be prepared for the tests. I'm sorry, that's just a great life lesson. I don't know if that person that was 10 years ago, they're probably out of school now, but that was a lesson learned. And there was one more. Give me a second here, I'm sorry. Yes, she was really mean, she made me cry. Well, welcome to my childhood. You know, I've never known a day without having a big sister in my life. My parents told me that when they brought me home from the hospital, Myrna was very, very nice to me until she learned I was staying. Growing up, I was the minus to her C. I was quiet, I was contemplative, I even sucked my fingers, and Myrna was just crabby. And I would say that for the first half of our lives, we sort of existed in these sort of parallel universes. You know, we were siblings, but we had our own circles of friends, we had our own things that we did. I do remember one occasion, we were outside playing, and we got into a dust-up over something, I don't even remember what it was. And we started hitting each other, and I remember I just roared back and threw this haymaker, and it hit her right in the mouth. And she ran away crying. And I immediately felt terrible about it, and of course I tried to make up the only way I knew how, with cash. I gave her like $8, it was all I had. I was like, really sorry. And my hand to God, I believe that is the only fight we ever had. I really do. So, you know, as we went through life together in the early years, living in first Alabama and then Nashville, she applied for colleges, and apparently there was some drama there that I was completely unaware of, and then I had the house to myself for a year when she was off at Spelman for her freshman year, and then I went to college. And before social media, we would talk occasionally, we'd see each other at holidays, summers, things like that. But as we got older, we went from these sort of siblings to really what I would call friends. We became friends. 26 years ago, it was right about the time my wife and I got married, and it was right about the time Myrna became a teacher here at Cooper. And so she moved all the way east to the Mid-Atlantic region. I moved all the way west to California. And with a continent between us, we actually became closer than ever. As we've talked about, she was amazing with the cards. She would send anniversary cards, birthday cards, Christmas cards, Easter cards, Father's Day cards, Mother's Day cards. It never stopped. It never stopped. She was the card whisperer. And virtually every Saturday morning at about 11 o'clock our time, the phone would ring, and with caller ID now, it's Myrna. and we would talk, and we would talk, and we would talk, and it was great. I am convinced, we talked about what a great teacher she is, and I think that's been covered well. I never got to see her teach, and that really makes me kind of sad now, because I can only imagine how she would be in her classroom full of 8th graders. She did tell me this. She said that over the course of an 8th grade school year, the year starts off, they start off as girls and they become young ladies. And on the other side, they start off as boys and they become idiots. And as much as I loved my sister, my wife loves her even more. I am convinced that the only reason I've gotten to stay married this long is because Ann, my wife, had murder in her life. And I am really afraid of what's going to happen now. I kid. My sister was a study in contrasts. She lived alone, but just standing around here, she was not lonely, not for a moment. She never had children of her own, but over 3,000 students that she nurtured and taught. I think that's astonishing. And of course, she is the best aunt a niece and nephew could ever have. My kids are really lucky to have had Myrna in their lives. She was attentive, she was loving, she was playful. When my daughter had a challenging high school career and first year in college, there was my sister telling her to suck it up, gear down, and just get the work done. And no excuses, no excuses. She was a study in contrasts. She loved to sleep. But when she was awake, she took the world and kicked it right in the ass. She was a globe traveler. She was fierce. She was funny. She was terrific. Jesse Jackson preached at our church in California years ago. I cannot tell you what the sermon was about, but I do remember this. He said that we exist, most of us exist thinking that life is a given and that death is only a possibility, when in fact, the exact opposite is true. Every day is a gift, and I think as a teacher, my sister would love that to be the final lesson that we all learned from her. And what I regret, and this is supposed to be a celebration, but what I regret is all the things we left on the table. The time that we were going to do things, the time we were going to spend moving forward. And it makes me sad. But it also makes me cherish what we had. And so I'll close with this. I will continue on the path we shared. And I know you will be there to help me, as you always were. And when we meet again at Journey's End, and we laugh together once more, I will have 1,000 things to tell you. I don't know how heaven works. I don't know if I will even have the privilege of going. I know Myrna's there. I know that for a fact. And I don't know if there are days of the week. I don't know how people live. I don't know if there are telephones in heaven. But if there are Saturday mornings in heaven, I look forward to hearing from my sister. Rest in peace.
Wow. I have two last things to say. One, Arlene, I know why Myrna was late at least once. She was taking care of me in the parking lot because I was sitting in the car too long. She thought I was in distress. Suddenly I saw Myrna's face. Mr. Barker, are you all right? There's a book on tape and there was a battle scene and I forgot but she was very concerned because I was in that parking lot. So she was late that one time. I didn't know if you need. But I do have an important story to tell because now we can tell it. Once upon a time, Cooper Middle School was searching for a new principal. Part of the hiring process for a principal required that certain stakeholders would participate in the interview process. These stakeholders were to include parents or administrators or school board members or something like that, and 3 teachers. So staff got together and they elected 3 teachers: Denise Michelot, Myrna Foster, and me. We were all sequestered at Luther Jackson Middle School for an afternoon of applicant after applicant coming to us for grilling. Each of us had been given a scripted question to ask each candidate. We were absolutely forbidden to stray from our one question. We were to take notes, consider the responses, write comments, and rank order our choices. At the end of the proceedings, every scrap of paper we had used was collected. Before we left, we were told not to discuss with anyone what had gone on that day. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we were sworn to secrecy. We were dismissed, and when we got out to the parking lot, I looked at my 2 colleagues, this one and that one down there. They both looked like they were ready to explode. Denise Michelot could say only one word: Wendy's. If you know anything of geography of Luther Jackson Middle School, you know that Wendy's is so close that it practically shares the parking lot with the school. We burned rubber as we rushed to Wendy's. I was thinking, wow, I really could use a soda, maybe a Frosty, but why are they in such a hurry to get there? Apparently, they weren't interested in a refreshing drink. They, gasped, wanted to talk about what we had been forbidden to talk about. I, of course, had to be the voice of reason, telling Denise and Myrna, wait, we are forbidden to talk about that. At least that's the way I remember it. I also remember 2 stink eyes. Well, feeling cursed, we got a drink. And then proceeded to dish about everything and everybody. All the things we were told not to discuss. We spent almost as much time at Wendy's talking as we had at Luther Jackson doing the original interviews. But all that we said that day is, still to this day, a secret that only we 3 share. Thank you all for coming. God bless you all. God bless you.